Good morning, afternoon, everyone. I want to take you on a journey today, a journey that just 1 week ago I didn't think was possible. In just 7 days, I transformed my mindset, my routine, and my life. But here's the thing, these changes weren't anything grand, no sweeping gestures or miraculous events. They were small daily habits, and in that short span of time, they changed everything. You see, life is all about the little things, the tiny decisions you make, the things you choose to focus on, and the mindset you decide to live with. One small shift can ripple out, creating a powerful wave of transformation. So today I want to share with you 5 habits that completely shifted my perspective in just 1 week. These habits may seem simple, but don't underestimate their power. They can truly change your life, just like they changed mine. Start your day with gratitude. Let's start at the very beginning of the day, that precious moment when you first wake up. The way you begin your day can set the tone for everything that follows. I've learned that in those first few minutes, you have a powerful choice. You can let the stress of the world, the weight of your to-do list, or the anxiety about what lies ahead dominate your mind, or you can make a decision to start with something else. And that something else is gratitude. Gratitude is the simplest yet most profound tool you can use to shift your perspective. When you wake up, you can either focus on the things you don't have, the things you've yet to achieve, or the challenges that may lie ahead. Or you can focus on what you do have, what's already going right in your life. I know it sounds almost too simple, but trust me, this practice is a game changer. It's not just about saying thank you. For the big things, though, of course, we can be grateful for those too, but it's about finding those small, quiet moments that bring a sense of peace, joy, or even wonder. When I began to practice gratitude consistently, I noticed a shift not just in my attitude, but in how I moved through the day. I started with the basics, what I could feel and what I could see. It wasn't always easy, especially on tough days when it felt like the world was asking too much of me, but that's exactly why gratitude became my anchor. It gave me something to hold on to when everything felt uncertain. Here's how I started the moment I opened my eyes. I took a deep breath, and before my feet even hit the floor, I began to list things I was grateful for. The first thing I was always grateful for was my breath, because without it, nothing else would be possible. I would say to myself, thank you for today, thank you for this moment, thank you for my ability to be here. Then I'd shift to other things, my family, my health, the roof over my head, the fact that I could see the sun rise through my window, the quiet stillness of the morning before the world gets busy. Sometimes it's the small things that make the biggest difference, and when you focus on them, you realize how much you already have. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the hard parts of life or pretending that everything is perfect. Life can be tough, it can be unpredictable, it can knock you down and throw challenges in your path. But what I've learned is that gratitude isn't about waiting for everything to be perfect to feel thankful. It's about choosing to be thankful even when things are imperfect. It's about finding the light in the darkness, the hope in the struggle, and the beauty in the chaos. And here's the thing, gratitude isn't just about the big events or milestones, it's the little moments too, like that first sip of warm coffee, the sound of your favorite song playing, the feeling of a hug from a loved one, or even just the comfort of your bed when you're about to fall asleep. These are the moments that often go unnoticed, but when you start to see them and acknowledge them, you begin to shift your mindset. Gratitude also teaches us to be present. It pulls us away from the worry about the future or the regrets of the past and anchors us in the now. I've found that when I'm grateful for what I have right in front of me, I'm more focused, more grounded, and more at peace. It helps me stay centered when life feels like it's pulling me in 100 different directions, and it reminds me that I don't need to wait for some future moment to feel fulfilled or to feel joy. Right now is enough. This moment is enough. But here's the magic of gratitude. When you begin your day with gratitude, it doesn't just change how you feel in that moment, it creates a ripple effect throughout your entire day. The way you approach the rest of the world, the way you approach your challenges, your work, your relationships, everything starts to shift. Gratitude becomes a lens through which you see the world. You start to notice the good, even when it's hidden beneath layers of stress or difficulty. It's like wearing a pair of glasses that helps you see everything in a brighter light. I'm not saying every day is going to be easy. We all have our challenges, our struggles, and our moments of doubt. But by starting your day with gratitude, you remind yourself that no matter what happens, you are enough. Your journey is meaningful and you are surrounded by things to be thankful for, even if they're small. When you wake up and focus on what you have, instead of what you don't, you start your day from a place of abundance, not scarcity. So I challenge you to try this tomorrow. When you wake up, before you even get out of bed, take a deep breath and think of 3 things you're grateful for. And if you can, write them down. Let those thoughts set the tone for your day. Over time, as you make this a habit, it becomes less of a task and more of a natural way of being. The more you practice gratitude, the more you see the abundance in your life, and the more you start to attract positivity into your world. Gratitude is an invitation to see the world with fresh eyes. It's an invitation to find beauty in the everyday. And it's an invitation to remember that no matter what happens, you always have something to be thankful for. Embrace the power of movement. There's something incredibly powerful about moving your body, and I'm not just talking about hitting the gym or running a marathon. I'm talking about moving in any way that feels right for you, whether it's stretching, walking, dancing in your living room, or even simply getting up from your chair and walking around. Movement is so much more than just physical exercise. It's a gateway to emotional release, mental clarity, and personal transformation. When I first began to understand the importance of movement in my life, I was recovering from a challenging time. I was learning to navigate life with prosthetic legs after losing both of my own, and movement didn't come easy. It didn't feel natural. It felt like an obstacle. But what I quickly realized was that movement wasn't about perfection. It was about connection. It was about reconnecting to myself, my body, and the world around me in a way that no other form of therapy or practice could offer. At first, my movement was simple, small shifts in my chair, stretching my arms over my head and feeling the lengthening of my muscles. It didn't have to be a workout. It didn't have to be a performance. It just had to be something that got me out of my head and into my body. When I focused on how my body felt instead of what my body wasn't able to do, I began to experience something profound. I felt alive. I felt energized. The moment I began to embrace movement, I started to feel like I had control over my life again. When we move, we activate energy, we shake off the weight of stress, we break through the mental fog. Our body becomes a channel through which we can release frustration, anxiety, fear, and all of the emotional baggage that weighs us down. There's a freedom that comes with simply allowing your body to move without judgment, without criticism. The beauty of movement is that it doesn't require perfection. The beauty of movement is that it doesn't require perfection. It doesn't matter if it's graceful or messy, slow or fast. What matters is that you're doing it. You're engaging with your body, listening to it, and honoring what it needs in that moment. That could mean jumping up and down in excitement when something good happens. Or it could mean a quiet stretch when you're feeling stressed, allowing the tension to melt away. It could even mean simply walking outside and feeling the ground beneath your feet. The act of movement is a reminder that we're not stuck. We're never truly stagnant unless we choose to be. Life may throw challenges our way, but movement teaches us that there's always another step we can take, another direction we can go. When we move, we break through the boundaries we've set for ourselves. We find new ways to overcome obstacles and discover new ways to connect with our strength, resilience, and creativity. I often remind myself that movement is not just about physical change, it's a metaphor for life. When you feel stuck, when you feel overwhelmed or uncertain, movement is a way to push through that mental and emotional barrier. When I'm stuck in my thoughts, I know that moving my body, even for just a few minutes, can shift my energy and perspective. And I'm not just talking about physical movement in the traditional sense. Movement also happens in our minds. When we choose to move past fear, when we make the decision to get out of our comfort zone, we take a step forward in our personal growth. Movement is one of the most empowering tools we have, It's a direct connection between our body and our mind, a physical manifestation of our emotional state. When we feel stuck in a rut or overwhelmed by life, movement helps to break through that stagnation. And sometimes that's all it takes, just one small movement to shift everything. Maybe it's a stretch, a walk around the block, or even shaking off the nerves before stepping into a difficult situation. It's in those small moments that we start to regain our power. I'll never forget the moment when I first learned to snowboard with my prosthetic legs. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and empowering all at once. I was nervous that I wouldn't be able to move the way I used to, that I'd be held back by the prosthetics, by my fear, by my doubts. But when I pushed through that initial fear and started moving on the snow, I felt something shift. I felt free. I felt empowered. And in that moment, I realized something so important. Movement isn't just about going from one place to another. It's about the way movement connects you to your body and your environment. It's about the sense of possibility that opens up when you embrace it, no matter where you are or how you're feeling. Movement teaches us to trust our bodies, and it helps us build that trust over time. Even when things are hard, even when we feel like we can't keep going, movement helps us push forward just one step at a time. And just like anything else in life, the more we practice it, the easier it becomes. We begin to trust ourselves more deeply and experience life more fully. I want to encourage you to embrace the power of movement in your own life. You don't need to run a marathon to feel the effects. It doesn't matter if you're walking, dancing, stretching, or simply shifting positions throughout the day. What matters is that you are moving, that you are allowing your body to express itself and to connect with the world around you. When we move, we show ourselves that we are capable, that we are not defined by our limitations, and that we can break free from any mental or physical barriers that try to hold us back. Movement is not just something we do, it's something we are. It's the energy that flows through us, the force that propels us forward, and the reminder that no matter where we are in life, we have the power to keep going. Movement teaches us that we don't need to be perfect to make progress. We just need to keep moving. One step, one breath, one action at a time. And with each movement, we're one step closer to finding our strength, our peace, and our freedom. Practice self-compassion. If there's one thing I've learned through every twist and turn of my life's journey, it's this: you cannot pour from an empty cup. We've all been there. We've all faced moments when we felt like we were running on empty, whether it was because of the weight of our responsibilities, the challenges we were navigating, or the internal battles we were fighting. But here's the thing in those moments: the one thing that can make all the difference is self-compassion. For so much of my life, I thought that to be strong, I had to push through everything, to power through the hard days, to ignore the pain, and to act like everything was okay even when it wasn't. I thought that if I just kept going, if I didn't show any weakness, if I didn't let anyone see how much I was struggling, I'd somehow come out stronger on the other side. But what I realized after years of pushing myself too hard, ignoring the emotional toll of it all, and even trying to suppress my own needs, is that self-compassion is where the true strength lies. And here's why. Self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's not about giving yourself a pass every time things get tough or using it as an excuse not to try. No, self-compassion is about recognizing that you're human. It's about giving yourself the grace to make mistakes, to feel vulnerable, and to understand that you don't have to be perfect. It's about embracing your flaws, your imperfections, and your struggles not as weaknesses, but as part of what makes you whole. I'll be the first to admit that this was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn. I thought that being kind to myself would mean I wasn't tough enough or resilient enough to face the challenges I was up against. But over time, I realized that the complete opposite is true. Self-compassion is one of the most powerful tools you have because it allows you to acknowledge your emotions without judgment, to meet yourself where you are, and to give yourself the love and care you need in those difficult moments. There was a time in my life when I was constantly striving to be the best, whether it was in my career, in my relationships, or in the way I showed up in the world. And while striving for greatness is important, I found myself caught in an endless loop of self-criticism. I'd beat myself up for every mistake, every shortcoming, every moment when I didn't live up to my own expectations. And instead of feeling motivated by those moments, I began to feel drained. I began to feel drained. I began to feel like I wasn't enough. What I didn't realize at the time was that the hardest battles we face are often with ourselves. We are our own toughest critics, and sometimes that inner critic is louder and more persistent